Well, let's go out to the Boxer and Gerson guest line because it's time for Cleared to Play, where we take you inside the tent and get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment and bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya. Doc, FP is in for Mark Willard. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well, and a little bit concerned about Deebo Samuel in his shoulder. No official word, obviously, because it's Tuesday on his status for the weekend. But what did you see from the injury and the news that his shoulder is not, quote, broken?
Yeah, I think that was the main concern because he kind of had this hairline fracture. The good news is obviously that's been rolled out based on the reports. But I think the key thing is that his shoulder's hurting for some reason, and there has to be some sort of potential structural issue there. The real question is this some sort of structural issue where it's just pain relief, where, you need some sort of pain-relieving injection or Toradol to help with the pain? Or is it hurting because there's a structural issue that he can't function even if you numb up the pain? So I think that's the key question. Obviously, it seems like the 49ers are not giving too much details because what structure may be injured can impact how you game plan for him or how you potentially address him. But the fact that there's no fracture is the best news because that means there is a possibility to play. He just wouldn't be able to if something was broken.
So when it is a joint like that, Doc, I mean, the Toradol shot does not go in the joint. That's more of like a Nubain or a Marcaine kind of thing to numb it up for the game, right? I mean, how would they, I guess for us people that have never had that shot, how does that work for Deebo to be able to numb the pain and possibly play in the game on Sunday?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That Toradol is more for general kind of pain relief. It's like taking a mega dose of Advil to kind of help, pain, and hopefully that helps alleviate the shoulder pain. When you're numbing up that shoulder joint taking Marcaine, you're essentially trying to figure out, okay, where is this pain coming from? Most commonly, it's usually an AC joint issue. You don't necessarily need a really stable AC joint to be able to play football. So you inject in that area. You can move the arm around. You can take contact. You inject in that. If you're injecting in the shoulder, the joint itself, then you worry about, well, look, if you're trying to numb up a cartilage issue, you're numbing up the rotator cuff, that structure's injured. So even though if you don't have pain, you're not being able to do the thing. So if it's a rotator cuff issue, you might not be able to block, even though the pain's not good. If it's a labral issue, you might not be able to raise your arm up above your head to catch. So absolutely, it's really figuring out, is numbing going to take rid of the pain, allow him to function? And will he also be able to protect himself? Because the last thing you want is you numb up that area, he aggravates it more, and then next week he's got a bigger structural issue as well, too.
Yeah, it'd be 2 weeks until the Super Bowl if they win the game, but that's a great point, Doc, because if it is labral and it gets to be a more severe tear, then you're looking at Deebo being unavailable to play in what would be the biggest game of the year. Eric Armstead came back from his myriad of injuries. What did you think of his mobility coming off the knee and the plantar fascia?
I think two things. One is he looked like he was moving pretty well. Didn't really see any kind of major changes in terms of how he's moving in his position. I think the key thing was how many snaps he played. I think he played 43, 44 snaps, which is a good marker of how that plantar fascia is going to feel. Typically, if you're going to see aggravation happen, right around snap 20, snap 30, things are going to start breaking down. The fact he played a lot, and I think he was like 5th or 6th in the defense in terms of snaps played, is a great sign, and that really bodes well for him leading into the next couple of games in the playoffs.
That's absolutely critical, especially in terms of them stopping the run. So hopefully he responds well from a few days off, the extra day off, them having played on Saturday. Jermar Brown was cleared to play, but he was unable to get on the field. What do you think that is indicative of, Doc?
Yeah, if it's not an issue in terms of, I think I said Logan Ryan had, more experience. But anytime anyone's coming off a knee sprain, it's wet weather outside. You're playing at a position that he plays where there's a lot of agility, there's a lot of cutting. So number one, you're worried about how that knee may potentially hold up, or is there going to be another aggravation to it in the wet weather? And also, number two, it's the timing. So, a lot of that position is in terms of reacting quickly. Is your timing on? And if you're a little bit worried mentally about how that knee is going to respond in terms of agility, quick change of direction, it may have just been more of a precaution given who they were playing, how long he has been out, and the weather as well, too. I think it'll be a little more telling to see how he's there next week, because that seems to be more of a precautionary measure. Maybe they're trying to ease him back in with a bigger game coming up this weekend.
Doc, Dan Campbell, the coach of the Lions, in his introductory press conference, talked about biting kneecaps off.
We're going to bite a kneecap off?
And so if the Lions do bite, say Christian McCaffrey's kneecap off, and he said get up and bite the other one off, can you play with one kneecap? And if you do bite one kneecap off, how do we heal that game time? Do we tape it up? Do we put some duct tape on that and send CMC back out? How do we treat that?
Nubain and Marcaine.
How do we? It's a joint, though. You can't just shoot up a missing kneecap. You got to put a new kneecap in there, right, Doc?
Yeah, you get the trainer's got a couple on the sideline, just slap that kneecap in, and they'll be good to go. But all seriousness, though, for people who have really bad, kneecap fractures, occasionally we will, and older people take them out, and people say, can you actually function with not a kneecap? And you can actually walk and do things. You just lose 50% of your quadricep strength. So Christian McCaffrey gets his kneecap bitten out, you're going to get 50% Christian McCaffrey in the game. So there's still a possibility.
That sounds excruciating.
You need a tetanus shot too, don't you? Probably.
Probably.
I think so.
Probably that whole infection thing. Yeah.
Well, we don't know what goes on in the blue tent, so maybe they got a new kneecap in that blue tent. And they can just slap one in there during the media timeout and get the player back on the field ready to go. Doc, Warriors are going to be back in action tomorrow after more than a week off. What are the sort of concerns you have medically when players are coming back after that much time off?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, the lack of practice. And it sounds like I think yesterday was the first practice that they had. Obviously there's going to be benefits to taking that time off, not taking the emotional and obviously mental burden aside. The soft tissue is going to get rested. They're going to have a little bit more time to rest some of those injuries and give players like Moody and Peyton a little bit more time off and some of the older players. But it's a lot of the timing. Part of the keeping in shape, and as FP knows, being a former professional athlete, it's about making sure that you are exerting your body and keeping that timing down. And when that timing gets thrown off, particularly when you're playing with basketball where there's such a rhythm, you worry about, is there going to be another soft tissue injury? Is there going to be issues in terms of minutes played those first couple games? So I do worry a little bit about how they're going to perform those first couple games because they just haven't had that practice. But hopefully they'll get, land on that positive side with that additional rest, particularly guys like Draymond and Clay and Steph who had a lot of wear and tear on them and not moving so well the past couple games.
Doc, appreciate you coming on as always, and enjoy that football game this Sunday.
I absolutely will. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Thank you. That's Dr. Nirav Pandya. The preceding was sponsored by UCSF Health.